Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, it is KingNido here, and today we are coming to you from Olivine City with these two colossal sides going head to head. It will be the Olivine Carbons hosting the Upper Lucid Emperors, the Steel types going up against the Dragon types, and neither of these sides are having the start to the season that anyone would have expected. Let's see if they can change that here today. Let us know who you think will win. Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
As I said though, neither of these sides is having the season start that they want. The Upper Lucid Emperors having lost 2 of their 3 games so far, as they started with Cyclozar and Haxorus. It will be Iron Treads and Chestnut starting out for the Olivine Carbons, as Chestnut being the terrestrializing Pokemon for the Carbons will instantly shed its grass fighting type and become a Steel type Pokemon. Now the Olivine Carbons have already had their bye this season, so they've only lost 1 game here, but they do not want to lose a second one here. They want to get that second win as a low kick is super effective onto Iron Treads from Cyclozar, as Iron Treads responds with the Bitter Blade onto Haxorus, trying to restore a little bit of health with that not very effective move, but that low kick so impressive to see from Cyclozar to start off this match. Haxorus with the first impression, using it on the only turn it'll work in the first move it does, as a tail whip from Chestnut is going to lower the defense of the 2 dragon type Pokemon here. Remembering that Cyclozar will still have the speed advantage on the field, goes for the role play, so it is going to lose that shed skin ability. Instead it's going to gain like a bulletproof copying that of Chestnut. Iron Treads now with the water spout though will connect with both dragon type Pokemon. Unfortunately it's not very effective, so they both really tank that hit, as the Electro Web will not affect Iron Treads from Haxorus, but does connect with Chestnut. It is going to lower its speed, but it is the slowest Pokemon on the field, as Chestnut responds with the Eerie spell onto Haxorus. Haxorus taking some good damage there. It's also going to have its PP lowered by 3. Cyclozar, following that lead, goes with the Spite onto Chestnut, lowering the PP of its attacks by 4. And Iron Treads with the agility, trying to become the quickest Pokemon on the field. It does have that 106 base speed, whereas Cyclozar has 121 base speed, so we'll see if Iron Treads can actually move quicker than it real soon. But first, Chestnut is going to go for the Lunar Dance. It's going to eliminate itself from the match already. Chestnut taking itself out of the match. This is a terrible start for the Olivine Carbons, and for a Pokemon to take the effects of that Lunar Dance is so unlikely, as it's Goodra coming out for the Carbons, as that not very effective hit onto Iron Treads from Cyclozar. Iron Treads responding with the Acid, connecting with both Dragon-type Pokemon yet again. Haxorus with the Hurricane here onto Goodra. Not very effective hit. Goodra is able to tank that and respond with the Skitter Smack onto Haxorus, who's able to hold on, but it does have its special attack lowered in the process. It's a very easy target though. Cyclozar with their Heal Bell. That bell will chime, but unfortunately it is going to fail on the field here. Iron Treads not quicker than Cyclozar yet, going with the Bulldoze, and it's super effective on its own teammate, lowering the speed of Goodra. I do not think Goodra minds very much about its speed at the moment. It is the slowest on the field, but it is able to eliminate Haxorus from this matchup. And Goodra with a Bulldoze of its own is super effective on Iron Treads and eliminates its teammate. What are these 2 Pokemon doing to each other? Cyclozar there having its speed lowered yet again, as Forretress comes out for the Olivine Carbons, and Dragalge comes out for the Upper Lucid Emperors. And Cyclozar is still the quickest Pokemon on the field, boosting its evasiveness there with the Minimize. Dragalge follows it up with the Uproar onto Goodra, not very effective, but Dragalge is going to continue to cause that uproar for a number of turns, as Forretress with the Inferno, it will connect onto Cyclozar, and Cyclozar is eliminated with that not very effective move. Maybe the Olivine Carbons are still in this, even after the miscommunication between Iron Treads and Goodra. Now Dragalge will continue to cause that uproar, but first Flapple comes out for the Upper Lucid Emperors, and immediately with the Revelation Dance it is going to target Forretress with that move, so it's not very effective. And Dragalge continuing that uproar onto Goodra, also not very effective. These Steel types resist so many moves, as a Water Pulse onto Flapple is heavily tanked. Forretress not able to get the damage it wanted, as a Sunny Day is set up by Goodra. That sunlight is going to turn harsh over the field, and as I said, Dragalge continuing the uproar, but first a glare from Flapple is going to leave Fortress paralyzed on the field. It could potentially be shut out of this matchup with that paralysis. Dragalge connecting with the uproar yet again onto Goodra. Goodra is going to respond with the Terror Blast though onto Flapple. Takes some good damage there as well. Fortress following it up with the Flying Press onto Dragalge. Not very effective there, as Dragalge has finally calmed down from that uproar. Flapple with the Power Split onto Fortress, sharing its power there with Fortress. Dragalge following it up with the Pluck onto Goodra, and Goodra's still in this matchup, hanging on by a thread, and with that gooey ability, it will lower the speed of Dragalge, who, even though you cannot see it on the field, it is eating the Leopard Berry of Goodra that it sold. Do not steal other people's food. Goodra with the Payday onto Flapple, trying to earn its money here. And Fortress follows it up with the Rock Tomb. Flapple's able to hold on, having its speed low, but it's an easy target on the field right now. It's Flapple with the Will-O-Wisp, but does unfortunately fail for the Grass type as a Supersonic from Goodra. Dragalge's able to avoid that attack, and Dragalge now going for the Force Palm onto Fortress. Fortress tanks that hit though, and responds with the Parting Shot onto Flapple, lowering its attack and special attack there, and then Fortress now leaving, going back to the bench. It's still in the matchup though, as Corviknight comes out for the Olivine Carbons and immediately goes for the dig, so it's going to bury its way underground. It should be able to avoid most attacks now, and Flapple going for the Arm Thrust, targeting Goodra, and super effective, eliminates Goodra from this matchup, and that gooey does lower the speed of Flapple, but Goodra, the pseudo-legendary, the Hisuian Pokemon taken out of this matchup, didn't have as much of an impact as I would have expected, as the Future Sight is set up by Dragalge. That's actually a really great play there by Dragalge, whilst it has no one to target immediately on the field. The Harsh Sunlight does fade, and Fortress comes back out onto the field. And it lands in that Lunar Dance as well, so that means Fortress will be cured of its paralysis and restored back to full health. That could have actually been a really crucial play by Chestnut earlier on, as that dig connects onto Flapple. Even though it's not very effective, Flapple is eliminated, and the Steel types have tied it up here 3 apiece in this match. We have Dragalge with the Absorb, not very effective there onto Fortress, so Dragalge's going to get practically 0 health back, being very minuscule what it did, but out comes Tatsugiri to join Dragalge, and immediately with the Defense Kill, it is going to boost its defenses here. Now, don't let looks deceive you. It does have that 120 base special attack, does Tatsugiri, as a role play. Now, from Fortress does fail, and Dragalge is going to go with the Iron Defense, so it's going to sharply boost its defense on the field here. See if it can take a physical hit, as Corviknight takes the Future Sight that was set up earlier by Dragalge, and now Tatsugiri going for the Hydro Steam onto Fortress here, and a critical hit gets the elimination of the Steel Bug type. What an incredible connection by Tatsugiri, as the Side Blade onto Dragalge, super effective there from Corviknight. Dragalge still in this matchup though, responds with the Vacuum Wave, gets a good hit in there onto Corviknight, and now out comes Tinkaton. Tinkaton and Corviknight have to work together, as Tinkaton has that hammer in its hand, so I do not think Corviknight likes seeing that, but let's see if they can hold him. As a Healing Wish by Tatsugiri, it's going to take itself out of this matchup. I do not think it'll have the same success that Chestnut did earlier, as a Metal Sound from Corviknight. Dragalge is able to avoid that attack, keeping in mind there's still one more Pokemon to come out for the Emperors, but an Ice Fang onto Corviknight from Dragalge, and it's Dragonite as the last Pokemon for the Emperors, immediately being hit with the Dynamic Punch from Tinkaton, which isn't very effective, but Dragonite is left confused. Can Corviknight and Tinkaton take it to the pseudo-legendary? These two Pokemon who do not get along, and we get a Psychic Fangs from Dragonite onto Corviknight, which is not very effective. Corviknight looking to respond with the Heat Crash, and it looks like they're trying to go after the pseudo-legendary, even though it move barely did any damage. Dragalge with the Peck onto Tinkaton, not very effective as well. Tinkaton taking its first damage of the matchup, and Tinkaton responds with the Zing Zap. Very little damage done to Dragalge. Dragonite is still confused. It needs to avoid striking itself, and that it is able to do, but instead it goes for a Perish Song in its confused state. It goes for the Perishong. No one will be able to come back out onto the field, which means this matchup will be over in 3 turns at a maximum. Lash Out is a critical hit on Dragonite from Corviknight, and a Burning Jealousy from Dragalge eliminates Corviknight from this matchup. Tinkaton is all by itself. The Opelucid Emperors could still win this as the Perish count falls to 3. This could be a draw. This could be the first time I've ever commentated a draw in the PokeType League or any other form of this series. As the Blizzard is avoided by Dragonite, but it connects with Dragalge, and that surely would have gotten the elimination of Dragonite. We are down to Dragonite versus Tinkaton, who has that Fairy typing advantage over Dragonite, who is still confused on the field, but Dragonite is able to go for the gravity. It brings itself down to the ground because of that gravity intensifying. This is still anyone's game, but that Perish count has fallen to 2, which means both these Pokemon will only have 2 turns left as we get a superpower from Tinkaton onto Dragonite. Not very effective. Dragonite tanking that hit, but Tinkaton lowers its attack stat and its defense. It is becoming an easier target for the pseudo-legendary. Dragonite is still confused though, and it's gonna do damage to itself. That is terrible for the Opelucid Emperors. There is only 1 turn left. They need to make this one count, or we are going to get a draw. Tinkaton, though, with the Iron Head, gets the elimination. The Olivine Carbons have won this matchup. The Perish Song does not get to finish. The Carbons have won. The Carbons have won. The Emperors are unsuccessful. Their terrible season, unfortunately, continues as they lose their 3rd game and they drop down to 17th on the leaderboard. Next round they will be going up against the Fortree Tempest, whereas the Carbons climb their way up to 5th place, and next round they will be taking on the Spike and the Suede Grunts. But until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I will see you when you see me.